Hello once again, watchers of good TV. My name is Nick Pell, and for this review I am going to be talking about episode 1 of season 4 of The Walking Dead. Joining me is my roommate.
I'm Anna.
And she is also a fan of the show, and so she is going to help me review. And this is a different style of review that I'm doing. As if you've been watching my videos, you've noticed some changes with the channel and improved quality, and this is potentially one of them. So, getting right into it. The episode opened with Rick, the episode opened 4 months after the events of season 3, and we open up with Rick farming, basically, and he's got basically headphones in and music going, and what did you think of that? Exactly.
Seemed way too perfect. You just had to know watching that something terrible was bound to happen. I mean, you don't just go out and farm in a field in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. That just doesn't happen. Yeah,
every time that a show sets up some sort of perfect situation, it always seems like that's just basically like showing, oh, this is great, and then something happens to just destroy all the perfection in the show.
Yeah, but we don't find out what that something is, though, until the very end of the episode.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. Oh, by the way, spoilers. This video will contain massive spoilers from probably the first 3 seasons. If you haven't watched those, don't watch this any further. And
turn it off right now.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly. Listen to the woman. And
hey, I always wanted a guy to say that.
And then we will be talking about the very end of the episode. After the credits to this video, so actually not. Okay, we're going to be talking about the flow, so we'll talk about the ending towards the end of the video as we progress to it. So, what happened after that?
Oh, they start getting ready to go on a run, and you see all the relationships that have happened. Like, oh shoot, I can't remember Herschel's daughter's name right now. The blonde chick.
Yeah. Beth.
She has a relationship. You see more of Glenn and Maggie's relationship.
Yeah, and they're potentially pregnant. So that's...
No, they are pregnant. They reveal it later in the episode.
Well, yeah, but...
Spoiler. You're not even going in order anymore. No, but you get to see all the relationships that have happened, and then what the new camp life is like within the prison. I mean, the farm fields and the dining area outside and the potted plants, and people have like taken over cells and turned them into their own rooms. It doesn't look so prison-like anymore. In fact, you don't really see much of the prison at all.
Not really. You just see, you see parts inside the prison. Like you see, like the library, which I think is cool that a prison has that massive of a library. But
of course you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm a geek, kind of. But we see at one point in the episode Carol doing like the story time for some of the kids, which I thought was interesting and a way to kind of get back to the way life was before the zombie apocalypse. And,
but not really, as she starts bringing out knives and teaching them how to kill zombies.
Yeah, I mean it's part story time, part survival
of the fittest.
Yeah, pretty much. And then on the supply raid, that's where the most action pretty much takes place in this episode. We have Daryl and Michonne, and then Glenn, and then a few other new characters. They are all going on the supply raid. Seems pretty standard at this point. They're in their combat gear, and they have like machine guns and pistols, and Michonne has her sword as usual, and Daryl has his crossbow, and everything seems to be going hunky-dory, and then it flashes to a shot of the roof, and there's a helicopter that has crashed, and there's zombies just all over the roof. And so, once you see that, you know something is going to happen with that later on in the episode, and it does.
I really thought for a while that they were actually going to kill Daryl off when they're in the supermarket fighting. I was really like, the way they set it up almost seemed like they were going to kill him because so much of the action was focused on him.
Yeah, but Daryl's such a main character that...
I know, I felt like there'd be like a massive revolt against the show if they killed him off.
That, and I feel like we would have heard something about him being killed off in the very first episode of the season. If that
wouldn't have,
happened.
you might have.
I follow this stuff much more closely than she does. She just finished season 3.
I just watched.
So.
It's not my fault it took that long to get on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
So I control Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's how the world works.
Okay, whatever you say.
And then we actually have a side story with Rick as well. He is off trying to find some food, some meat that's been taken down. And
He was setting snares for the zombies.
I think it was both snares, and he was also looking for some, like...
Oh, I think it was snares for the animals and for the zombies,
Yeah.
and he was just trying to see what had been caught.
Yeah. And then he comes across this deer, he's starting to walk up to it, and just this random lady who, at first you think is just a zombie, and he like, hides behind the tree, and then he starts to walk away, she sees him, and she, like, speaks. And I was just like, what?
Yeah, that was actually your exact expression.
Yeah.
He just sat staring at the computer screen like, what just happened?
Because she walked up like a zombie, and so
Well,
like,
she looks like one.
Yeah.
I mean, totally dirty, completely from a the way her hair was especially pulled down over her face, totally made it look like she was a zombie, especially just, and then the way she kind of almost fell on the carcass of whatever, I think that was like a wild pig or something.
Yeah.
The way she just kind of fell on it made her look like a zombie, and then, no, she talks.
Now, did you trust her at all when
Oh,
Rick
hell
was
no.
walking up? I'm like, this person is not
You don't
trustworthy.
trust anyone who looks like a zombie.
Yeah, it's just, it was fishy from the whole get-go. Like, her story was sad and whatnot, but it's like, she's not going to make it past this episode. and she doesn't at all. She stabs herself once they get to the camp, and her husband is a zombie, so that's weird. And
In a bag. He's a zombie in a bag.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, that bag didn't look big enough for a whole zombie to be in there, and part of me wonders if it's just his head.
I don't think zombies can survive with just their heads.
Remember, there was in season 3, in the town,
They were in the
governor,
Yeah.
had tanks full of zombie heads, and as soon as the tanks broke, remember, they were chomping at Michonne's head when they were fighting.
That's true.
So because you have to, like, kill the brain.
Yeah.
And you can't kill the brain
Yeah,
by
but then
chopping
how did they
them
die when Michonne cuts off their heads? Because that's usually
She
what happens.
hardly ever cuts off their heads. She slices them down the middle.
She usually, like...
Yeah, but it's if you ever watch, it's like into the side of their head. And why else would they stab them in their head through the fence?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I get that. Like, you have to take out the brain, but I thought maybe, like, disconnection from the neck or something. I don't know. So, yeah, if we get to that part, Rick's story basically finishes off with that for this episode. And then back at the supermarket, one of the new guys who was like a medic in the army or something, he, you can kind of tell that he had some sort of alcohol addiction.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a little backstory of that somewhere
Yeah.
farther into the season, I'm sure, because he looks like he's set up to become a more main character in the story.
Yeah, and speaking of that, this season like derives from the comics a lot. Like, or, like goes away from the comic storyline a lot. Because for the first 3 seasons, they've more or less followed it. They've added things as they needed to keep the show interesting, so that they can't go through it in like 6 episodes. Like Herschel's
Because
Farm.
that would be sad.
Yeah, like Herschel's Farm for season 2, that was much shorter than, or in the comics than it was in the show. And then the prison, I thought was going to be done after season 3. But I mean, as long as they end the prison saga the same way as they do in the comics, I'll be happy. I need certain characters to die, and I need it just to be taken down in a certain
very
way.
disturbing right now. I need certain people to die.
Well, I mean, just for it to make
sense to come back and reconnect with the comic.
Yeah, and one thing that has confused me in the past seasons is that they've killed off major characters from the comics before they needed to be killed, or like people that are still alive in the comics are dead in the show, and that's really
Like who?
I
haven't read the comics.
Spoiler alert. Like Andrea, she's still alive. She's still alive and kicking.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's still alive and kicking, and then Dale lasted a lot longer than he did in the show.
Dale lasted all the way almost through season
2.
2.
He lasted like past the prison in the comics. So just characters like that I've just found. It's strange that they're still alive or that some characters are dead. But I think it was mainly contract issues too. And
Probably. I mean, like, especially Lori, that one was definitely a contract issue.
Yeah. Yeah, like Lori's supposed to get offed later. And then Shane wasn't supposed to last as long as he did. But getting back on track for this episode.
He likes to take us off track.
I do. It's fun. We have the supermarket, and we have the guy who's an alcoholic. He grabs a bottle, he decides to put it back. Shelf just collapses on him. And so that makes noise.
Doesn't even make sense physically.
I mean, if the wood's weakened, because it's been like at least a year or two by this point, so the wood could have been weakened.
Well, and he was looking at it like there was water dripping down, or it was...
Oh, yeah.
Something was dripping down on it. So I suppose that doesn't make sense, but I don't understand how one shelf falling and breaking another causes an entire shelving unit to fall on top of him.
Yeah, that was probably just done.
And it didn't look like it was that heavy, so he like totally could push that up himself, or at least lift it enough to pull his leg out, I think.
Well, if it's like stuck on his leg and it's like crushing it, then you're not really gonna you're not gonna have the willpower to move it, I don't think. Like,
I think if you have enough adrenaline, as he probably did when that zombie was like 2 inches from his face.
And he's just like trying to hold it back with his hand, like,
and the skin is coming off the scalp,
God, I was like, you need to hit it.
It was a little more gory than it usually is.
Yeah, like when the first zombie falls down from the roof, he's just hanging by his guts, and then when some zombies are falling, they splat on the ground in a bloody mess, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's just like
a lot more blood. So if you're really into bloody, gory zombie, it's starting to get there.
But the sad part of this episode was when Zach, Beth's boyfriend, dies. But I mean, I kind of predicted that.
I mean, there wasn't any way they were going to keep 3 possible relationships going at the same time for that long.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been way too easy and way too cheesy at the same time.
Hey, you rhyme!
I know, it's amazing. Shut up, Chris. But yeah, Zach dies, and then I thought it was really interesting when Daryl goes to tell Beth that her boyfriend is dead. She has basically come to this point where she's just accepting of anyone who dies because she's aware that this is the apocalypse, people are going to die, and there's nothing that she can really do about it. And so at the beginning of the episode, when he was leaving and he tried to get her to say, like, be cute to him, and like because he was leaving and going off on this dangerous mission, she doesn't say goodbye because she's like, I don't want to do that.
But I think that stems from the fact the number of figures, people she's lost in her life. I mean, her mother was killed by zombies.
Yeah.
And then Lori, who was kind of a stand-in mother for her, I feel like.
That's true.
Especially when Herschel was going through his whole amputation and unconsciousness. Right. Lori really kind of stepped in as a mother figure for both Maggie and Beth. Yeah. And then Lori gets killed off.
Right.
And so she's kind of lost both mother figures, and that can kind of make someone a little cold.
She's almost become like Carl in a sense of his coldness, because Carl in general, he's getting older.
But he's better now.
He's a little bit better. He's a
little more normal. He's not so creepy, like child killer.
Yeah, but I mean, circumstances. He's been in like this. He's been in it from the get-go for the most part, and he's just gotten to.
Also, he's grown up a lot between season 3 and season 4. Like, he looks 2 years older.
Well, it's a year, so that it's gonna happen. Like, probably by season 6, he'll probably be a teenager, and I don't know how they're gonna do that story-wise.
I think he is a teenager right now.
Well, yeah, he's like 13, 14 or something. But I mean, like, he'll probably be like 16, 17 by that point. And in the comics, he's still like 8 or 9, however old he started out as. And
well, I think that's part of the reason season 3 is 4 months ahead of season 2.
Yeah.
I mean, season 4 is 4 months ahead of season 3.
Yeah.
Too many numbers in my head. And it'll probably keep being like that. Each season will be a couple months ahead, or within the season, like between the mid-season finale and the start of the next half. There will probably be several months span to account for the children aging, especially the infant that they have playing Judith.
They
because
can just keep swapping out babies though for Judith. That's what they usually do with that type of stuff. They just keep finding
true, but they
eventually
will have to depending on how long the show runs. Of course, they will eventually have to bring it to a certain point where they can't do that, and then they do have to account for it somehow.
I mean, unless something happens to the kid.
Don't you dare speculate that. Okay, way off track and way in the future. Nothing will ever happen to this child. End of discussion.
Okay. Have fun. I should get you the comics sometime.
No! That would ruin it.
I've read all of them, so... is there anything else? Oh, the kid who gets turned on. Alright, so...
Yes, the end of the season.
So, end of the
episode.
What I'm talking about. So at the very end of the episode, Carl's friend, whose name I don't know, he...
I've seen him in something else though before, but I can't remember what I've seen him in. Sorry.
So Carl's friend, whose name we don't know, he wakes up in the middle of the night. He's in like a cold sweat, and he walks to the showers. We see like puddles of sweat dripping from his feet, and leaving footprints in the ground and everything. Walks to the showers. He collapses, and then the camera goes to him, and his face is just bloody. His eyes wake up, and he's a zombie. And so...
but he hasn't been bitten as far as we know, and he hasn't been infected with tainted blood as far as we know. Yeah. So we're trying to figure out if it's an evolution in the virus that's causing the zombie virus, or if there's some backstory we don't know about, like a scratch he was hiding or something before he came. But it sounds like he's been there for a while, so I don't know how he would have managed to fight that off for that long.
My guess is that they're just going to introduce some sort of new
evolution of the virus.
Well, yeah, but it can be transferred by air into air now. Because like I said, this is going totally astray from the comics, so I don't even know what happens, which I hate. But that's
he really
my
hates
guess.
Waiting for things in general.
I hate it because the last 3 seasons, I've known what's going to happen more or less, and it's annoying. Game of Thrones is so much nicer because I've read all those. All right. Yeah, that's about it. Any last thoughts on the episode?
Why is it not Sunday so that I could be watching the next episode?
Because our college doesn't have AMC, so we couldn't watch it anyway.
But why is it not Sunday?
Because that would be way too easy.
After seeing the first episode, aside from the end, I don't know where it's going to go for the rest of the season. Because, they didn't really set it up with anything else.
Yeah.
Just the kid randomly turning into a zombie. So I don't know if it's going to go with an outbreak in the prison or an isolated incident that, kind of keeps them from ever trying to accept anyone else into the community, or what's going to happen there. So, I mean...
I could see it being more of an outbreak in the prison because they have to kill off all those people at some point and get it back down to the main cast.
Plus a few new people. Because, the main cast at the end of Season 2 was let's see, Season 3 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Right. Which was kind of tiny considering what they were trying to do with the cast.
Yeah, I just saw today on the Walking Dead Facebook page that they have hired 2 new actors who are going to be representing characters from the comics, which I'm really excited about, Abraham and Eugene. So that'll be interesting to see, because those characters show up after the prison episode. So I'll be curious to see if they just get implemented into that, or if they actually end the prison thing at the mid-season finale and then go from there, or what'll happen with that. But overall, main question that I had: where's the governor? Because he disappeared.
Well, that's what Michonne's after.
Yeah, she's
still has a vendetta about it. She's totally going after him. She wants to go down to where was it? Somewhere 70 miles. Macon. 70 miles from the prison, on horseback.
Yeah. Which,
if she makes it there, let alone the horse, would be a goddamn miracle.
Yeah.
But I don't. I don't know what they're going to do with that, because they're either going to have her fulfill this vendetta and get killed off. These are the only two options I see in my mind. Okay. Complete the vendetta and get killed off. So kill the governor and then she dies somehow in the process, because I don't think there's any way they can really truly have her without the governor, because they're just so linked together. Now this is just me.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
You can call me crazy. You can call me crazy. I've been called crazy before. Or they get so wrapped up in something she has to give up the vendetta for a while and just stick with the group. Because right now she's kind of just a transient character. She doesn't really stay at the prison. She doesn't really stay anywhere else.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not going to say anything because I read comic books, so I know what happens. But that is about it for episode 1 of season 4 of not Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad's over. Get over it.
I said the Breaking Bad. That's not right.
The Walking Dead, episode 1 of season 4 of The Walking Dead. Hey, I screwed that up too.
Yeah.
But at least I got the right show title.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. I can't talk words at the end.
No.
Outro.
Words, honey. Words, Nick.
All right, so that's about it for episode 1 of season 4 of The Walking Dead. Please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to this video. If you so choose, leave comments about how you think the remainder of season 4 will go, since it's going away from the comic story, theoretically. And yeah, we will see you next Monday/Tuesday, depending on when I get this up.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, go with that one. She's smart.
I hope so.
And so, yeah, that's about it. My name is Nick Pell.
I'm Anna Romskog.
And as always, my good people, keep on watching. So, Chris, I don't even know what you said.
You said sidetracked.
Edit your podcast. Bitch.
Hey, close. Relax. I will put you both in my.
Where's the fun in that?
It's fun for me.